And the next one really is, we're getting into how, like more how do we do this?
Yeah, so the sixth one, I have to fly by these because I want to try to end this podcast in the time that we committed to you guys, about 30 minutes each month. But that information helps, number six. So I think sometimes it's hard to find out where the church is spending their money, investing their money. So I've always been into fully disclosed financial statements, annual audits that people can have access to. And some people, some leaders, some organizations are afraid for people to see. And I always say that's the problem. So why don't you lead it in a way where if everybody knew everything about the finances of the church, they wouldn't give less, they'd give more. My favorite verse on this one is 2 Corinthians 8, verses 20, verses 21 says, we want to avoid any criticism of the way we administer this liberal gift. I love this. For we are taking pains to do what is right, not only in the eyes of the Lord, but also in the eyes of men and women. So anyway, the question I always ask pastors, and it's a tough one. You may want to fast forward through this part. If the church's expenditures for the year were printed in the church newsletter, what would embarrass you most? And whatever that is, go ahead and fix it now.
Does that also apply to your personal expenses, how you're living personally?
Of course. And I just think the more we live this way, not only do people go, wow, I've been looking for something like this my whole life, but I think God honors it as well. Here's the seventh one so we can keep this thing moving. And I love this one, Matt, because this one, my pastor's dad, who was the old senior pastor of Bethany, my home church, we called him Brother Roy, very affectionately. And that is, ask God for money, not people.
It's great.
So right before I moved to Birmingham, great story. Right before I moved to Birmingham, Brother Roy, we affectionately called him, asked, he said, Brother Chris, can I meet with you before you move to Birmingham? Like, I'd never had a meeting with him, and he's a legend. He's an apostle in my mind. You know, he's just the greatest man. I said, absolutely, Brother Roy. We talked for over an hour. I have 8 pages of notes, handwritten notes that I still have to this day. And one of the things he told me was, Brother Chris, he said, don't ask people for money. Ask God. God will talk to the people.
That's so good.
And so my favorite line to this day, whenever we ask people to be generous or there's an offering moment, is I'm not asking you for anything. I'm asking you to ask God and just do what the Lord tells you.
So good.
And it's just something that I would highly encourage leaders to do in their organizations. You know, I'm not asking you for anything. I'm just asking you to ask God. And if God says nothing, do nothing. But let's just do what the Lord shows you to do.
Do you think people don't give because they're stingy?
No, and I think, honestly, that's point number 8, is that I don't think they're stingy. I think they're strapped. And that's number 8. We need to teach people how to be financially free. Here's the challenge for leaders that are listening, every pastor who's listening. For every message you do on generosity, make 3 of them on financial freedom, not on giving.
It's good.
I think they want to give. I think it's healthy for us to assume they want to give, not that they're not wanting to give. I think our God is a generous God, so that when he saves people, he puts his spirit inside of them. God so loved the world that he gave. I think when he saves people, the spirit of generosity, because the spirit of God is in them, the spirit of generosity is in them. So if you'll assume that they're generous and not stingy, it changes your mindset, and now you're just teaching people how to be financially free. So let the messages be, hey, here's how you get out of debt. Here's how you can set budgets. Here's how you can handle money God's way, and even offer some type of financial freedom small group.
It's great. Giving now is probably easier than it ever has been before. This is the next point, just make giving easy. Most of us have some kind of online or text to give opportunity. But that's a big deal, to make giving as easy as possible for the people in the church.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I need this one in my notes anymore. I did 2 years ago. Most churches weren't making giving easy, but I think coming out of the pandemic, most people had to figure out how to do online giving better.